Was teaching always the plan?
I was working outside as an engineer. During one of my vacation, I started teaching some of my friends in Bangalore, and then realized that I can do that well, realized that this is very close to me, and then started teaching a lot more students.
Was it an easy decision to leave an overseas job?
At that point of time, I had three options. I could have gone back to work, I could have continued teaching, I could have joined an IIM, and I went with my passion, which by that time I realized it's teaching.
And when did you finally decide to start Byju's?
So there was never a plan of starting this as business. As I just mentioned, I started with a class of 35-40, and then within 6 weeks it went on to become a large auditorium-based classroom of 1200. So this was in 2006, and then just scaled up to multiple cities, multiple auditoriums. Auditoriums got converted into stadiums later.
When did you formally announce Byju's?
So there was no formal announcement. In fact, even the name was because students, after attending these workshops or sessions, they started referring to these as Byju's classes, and that name got stuck to this, and then later we converted into Byju's, the learning app.
And how big was the first classroom?
The first session, formal session which I took, was just 35 students. But there I never thought about adding another batch of 35. From a batch of 35, directly thought about converting that into an auditorium of 1200. And in 6 weeks, that auditorium batch became full.
Have you appeared for the competitive exams yourself?
Yeah, I have taken most of the competitive exams as well as extracurricular exams, mostly for fun, and that's the reason I think I ended up doing well in all these exams, including the last one which I took, CAT, where I scored 100 percentile.
So how easy it is to score?
If you have the conceptual clarity, if you like learning, it's easy to score in those subjects. Now, when you are following an exam-based approach, where you take exams under pressure, that's why most of the students struggle to score up to their actual potential in exams.
You've taught in large auditoriums. How difficult it is to hold the attention span of students?
Whether the classroom is small or big, the key here is if you make students understand the importance of that subject, if you can make sure that they also know the whys and hows of learning, if you can make it contextual, students anyway will be engaged.
You are from a village from Kerala. Were you studious as a child?
Not the typical studious student. I used to spend most of my time outside classrooms playing multiple games. So I was not wasting my time, because I think that's where you learn the real life skills, which are as important as what you learn inside a classroom. I used to learn the subjects which I liked on my own, and anyway used to do well in all the exams, because when you learn right, where you are also taking the initiative of learning on your own, where you ask questions and learn, you can easily do well in exams.
Okay. So how important, according to you, are extracurricular activities?
So curricular activities are important, but extracurricular activities are as important or even more important, because that's where you learn those real life skills, like how to play in a team, how to lead a team, how to be extremely positive, how to have that killer instinct. So where you'll improve your EQ, which is critical to make an impact later.
What is one thing that you believe got Byju so popular?
From the beginning, we have taken a student-focused approach, where while creating the product, we made sure that we've created those formats which they like, the content which is effective, the format which is engaging, and students love our app. And that's, I think, the single most reason why more and more students are using the app, and we are growing at this pace.
And how are you building, how did you start building the core products?
So we create our products by using 3 core teams across functions like content, media and technology. It's very important that we get the right mix of all 3 functions. Content team, they are the ones who are making it effective. Media team, they make it interesting. And the technology team, they are the ones who are making it accessible and personalized. So having these 3 core teams and creating products at the intersection of these 3 is the reason why students have accepted it, and it's becoming very popular.
Okay. And your wife is a director in the company. Is it easy to get along at work?
I think it's a big advantage when you're in this journey together, where you're aligned with a common mission. It makes it so much more easier than otherwise.
But what happens when you all disagree on something?
I agree to disagree.
How do you define leadership?
Leadership is about positively influencing and inspiring people to dream more, to do more, to learn more, and to become more.
Okay. What's the role of technology at Byju's?
Technology as an enabler is playing a very important role in our journey. Now, if you ask me what is it doing, it's making sure that the product is accessible to millions across in devices through apps, and more importantly, it's improving the way concepts are taught and learned at home. It's making it very, very flexible, and it's also making it personalized. Now, personalized even to the extent where students can learn at their own pace of learning, size of learning, and style of learning.
But technology is moving at a fast pace. Your thoughts?
Yes, it's very important to keep pace with this fast pace at which the technology is changing. We've always been able to do that in our transition from a very successful offline player to an online test prep player, and then recently launching our flagship product, which is a very popular Byju's learning app. But we can never be complacent. If you don't keep pace with technology, you will be left behind. And we know that very well.
Describe your journey in one sentence.
It's been an exciting journey, but there's a long way to go, but we are on the right path.
Do you believe online learning is the future?
Yeah, if you actually see how students are learning, if you take a look at any of the 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds today, there's a good chance that they are learning from a screen. They are not just wasting time on cartoons like before. They are doing something which is around learning, how they learn their shapes or the letters or the numbers. It's happening through screens. So there's a lot of scope for improvement in what technology can do with learning. These are early days, but exciting times are ahead of us.
What is your advice to parents?
Parents should give students the freedom to figure out what they like and what they are good at, and they should also make sure that they are becoming extremely positive, so that once they figure out what they like and what they are good at, they should have the guts to pursue them with relentless passion, and that's how it becomes easy for students to make an impact, or in other words, to become successful.
What are Byju's plans for 2017?
We had a good 2016. We are relatively very successful, but if you look at the number of students in India and outside India, we are not even reaching out to 1%. So there's a long way to go in terms of creating awareness among students and parents for this kind of learning, where students take the initiative in learning. Lot to do in India, from reaching out, and from an international product development point of view, we just started creating those products. So both these things, going deeper in India and creating international products, will be our two top priorities in 2017.
You were among the first to see potential in online learning. What led to it?
I think it's not about online learning. There's always scope for better learning, because even when I started off, there was no such market or trend for online learning. But if you ask me, there's always scope for better learning. Now, that's where using technology as an enabler and education first as a strategy, and that's something which we've got it right.
Is it true that many Byju's classes students have joined you?
Yes, those thousands of students whom I taught during my early days, they've been my biggest strength. So good number of students, after going to IIMs and after working in the industry for 2-3 years, they came back and joined me, and they form the core part of the team today.
Is it difficult to convince parents about e-learning and mobile app-based learning?
I agree, it's a new segment where students learn on their own from a smartphone using an app. So parents are not used to seeing their kids learning from a smartphone. They are used to seeing their kids watching movies and playing games. But when they download the app, when they see that during the initial phase of engagement, when they see that kids are using it for learning, it's a big surprise for them, and that is kind of becoming an advantage later. Whatever initially what is a challenge, it's an advantage when they see that they are learning from a screen.
What are the exact benefits of e-learning that you would point out?
The advantage over here is it can help us to solve two core challenges in education. One is accessibility. Access to good quality teachers and education is always a challenge that can be solved by using smartphones as a medium to reach out. The second one, which is even more important, is improving the delivery, improving the way concepts can be taught and learned. That's where technology can play a big role, and these two are the key differentiators when it comes to online learning, which can improve on the offline format. And it's also giving them the flexibility of learning whenever they want, wherever they want, how many hour times they want.
And how can a mobile phone that is generally seen as a source of disturbance turn into e-learning device?
In fact, by using smartphones and by using apps where you can create highly engaging videos, movie-like format, because this is the format which the students like. They like movies, they like games. It's much more interesting than learning from a book, and that's where you might think that it can distract, but more than distracting, like you get a lot more attention from students because it's interactive.
Okay. And when did you start building the app?
So we started creating content from 2011 onwards, and the app in its format, what you see, we started doing that around 24 months back.
Okay, and 3 cool features of your app, if you had to point out?
Yeah, the first one I'll mention videos which are highly engaging because it's made in a movie-like format, learning games for lower grades, and most importantly, the personalization feature, which is helping students to learn based on their pace of learning, size of learning, and style of learning.
But can an app be interactive enough?
In fact, only the apps can be interactive, and books can never be interactive.
Okay, so with online learning, do you have students across the country?
In fact, if you want to have students across the country, if you want to make an impact all over, the only way you can reach out to them is by using a medium like a smartphone and an app. We have students across 1700 plus towns in India. So it's not just used in metros.
How has it benefited students from tier 2 and tier 3 cities?
Yeah, students are aspirational level everywhere. In fact, tier 2, tier 3, you will find students a lot more aspirational. So this is giving them access to high quality education.
One important thing you want students to know about scoring in these exams?
In fact, the most important thing which students should understand is when they start learning right, when they start getting their concepts, where they learn in such a way that exams are taken care of, marks will follow you and not the other way around.
International expansion is on cards at Byju's. Can you tell us about that?
We strongly believe that a product like this can change the way students learn across the globe. So currently we are in the process of building products for English-speaking markets to begin with.
Okay. Any specific markets you've zeroed on?
Not exactly. Once the product development is complete, we will launch the app and we'll focus on those markets where we see good traction in the beginning.
The educational system in some European nations is quite robust. Do you think in India there's a lot of burden on students?
Unfortunately, yes, because we are still following a system where learning which is driven by fear of exams and not love of learning. So very few students have in fact figured out the subjects which they like and what they are good at. There's so much focus on breadth and students spend a lot of time on their weak areas, and some of them even miss out on capitalizing on their strengths. So it's important to create a system where students like learning, where exams are important, but it has to be learning where exams are taken care of and not just exam-based learning.
What's been the adoption of your mobile learning app?
After launching the app around 18 months back, in July 2015, till now we've got more than 7 million downloads, 3.5 lakh students on the annual subscription. But more than these exciting numbers, what is much more satisfying is the fact that on an average students are spending 40 minutes per session, and close to 90% of the students are continuing from last academic year to this academic year. Both these numbers are validation of the fact that students are liking the app, and the second one, the 90% renewal number, is a big validation that it's effective.
What keeps Byju's up and running?
Yeah. When you are in a segment where real fun is not in creating a billion-dollar company, but in changing the way millions think and learn, because we all know that education is still the only way to make it big for most of us. That's a good enough a reason to keep on giving your best year after year after year.